The way to regain control of your life is to actually let go. And this seems a bit contradictory, like if I want to gain control of my life, don't I need to put more energy towards making sure things go the way that I want it to? And I don't know, if you've tried this, like I've tried this a lot in the past, the harder that I would try to keep my life together, the more that I tried to distill things into a schedule and try and stick to something for a long term and force myself into this kind of stage where I thought would make me better, I would eventually fail, it would eventually unravel. And you know, if you think like in sports, how people choke, you know, they know how to shoot the shot, they know how to score the free kick, they know how to hit the ball into the hole, whatever sport it is. Yet in those moments where it's most needed, they've done the thing 1,000 times, yet they choke. And I think this has something to do with the control kind of thing, because you think like, oh, like it's literally the same thing, like what's the difference? And it's emotions, it's not knowing things, it's not having things compact into this kind of thing, it's just being able to trust and let go in this process rather than forcing it to happen. Because in those moments of choking, people think too much, they're overthinking, they're in their head, and they mess up this simple thing that they know how to do. And it's because they don't let go. You know, this past few months have been this weird kind of progression. Like it hasn't been this huge overnight change. It hasn't been this huge dramatic kind of thing where I was like, I'm going to change my life, and then it kind of changed. Slowly things have just kind of been pieced together. Like you can see from my videos the past few months, from when I broke my wrist and I was forced to rest, and then I just allowed myself to do whatever I wanted, and I felt terrible. I felt like a loser, and you know, I just let go into that. Usually I would fight that and like make it even worse. Like, no, I should be doing this, so I've got to fight this, and I've got to stuff all these emotions down so then I can be doing stuff. And sure, there's times for that, but if it keeps arising, if it keeps coming back, you have to deal with it at some point, because just because you numb it out for now doesn't mean that it's not going to come back later. It doesn't mean that it disappears. It kind of builds up. And you know, just naturally, I had to experience that. I had to experience wanting to not eat, wanting to eat whatever I wanted to, spending the whole day playing video games, sleeping whenever I felt like it, doing whatever I wanted basically. And you know, after a while, I got sick of that. I had to go through that to get sick of that, to experience that, to know, and to have the experience and the feeling of, I don't want to do this. I want to start doing stuff better. And it wasn't an overnight change, as I said. I like slowly ate more food, tried to eat better food, tried to cook for myself a little bit more, but with foods that I wanted to eat. And it was a feeling of ease, of comfort, of like, oh, I want to do this, not I'm fighting against something. It was this natural current that just kind of happened. And then before I knew it, you know, my wrist was better, and then I was doing more videos again, and you know, I wanted to start working out more, so then that happened. But then, you know, I was trying to balance how to actually have that work for my life. Like, what do I actually want to do for working out? How do I enjoy it? And how can I stick to it long term and want to work out rather than just force myself into this schedule? And, you know, throughout time, you know, I got drawn back to soccer or football. I call it soccer because around where I live, they say Aussie rules, footy, football. So I've just grown up calling it soccer. So that's how I unconsciously just call it without thinking. But football. And then as a result of that, all of my old habits would kind of trigger in, like, oh, I've got to take care of my sleep better. I've got to start doing recovery runs. I've got to do better, more stretching and that kind of thing. And it's not this, for me, it's not this difficult thing. It's something that I want to do. Like, I started wearing my Whoop again, which I hadn't been wearing for ages, because I was just like, stuff the metrics. Like, I'd go through points where like the metrics were the only thing, like metrics were like my God, and I would just like, I have to like maximize this. But I just wore this because I was like, oh, I've got to start doing recovery runs for soccer, so then I've got to track like my heart rate to make sure I'm doing the right zone, so then I'm getting the right benefits for it and I'm not overexerting myself. And then as a result of that, I was like, oh, now I'm tracking my calories, I'm tracking how I sleep as well, so I should start getting my sleep back together. It hasn't been like this, I need to get my sleep together and I'm trying to fight. It's like what works. And I actually found that when I train at night, I've got to have a couple hours to wind down. I used to like force myself to go to sleep because then I was like, oh, I have to get up early because waking up early equals being productive. But if you've got later night commitments, then having a bit more time to wind down actually makes your sleep better and more worthwhile, rather than me like tossing around in bed early because I was still kind of feeling worn out or whatever. And as I was saying, you know, from using the Whoop, started tracking my calories. And then, you know, I wanted to track my food. It's not that I want to eat perfectly. I'm like, oh, what foods have I been eating, and tracking that and making sure that I'm eating enough to be gaining some muscle, but not too much, because whilst I'm playing football, having that extra little bit of fat makes this huge difference, because when I tried to bulk while playing, I would get more knee issues, I'd get more ankle issues. And it was just these little tweaks that just kept adding up. You know, and that was from me experiencing those things and then using it now. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that to regain control of your life, you know, it should feel natural. There should be some draw to it. It should feel mostly enjoyable. It should be 80% enjoyable or more. And it doesn't mean that your whole life has to be scheduled into these things and has to be to the dot exactly doing these things. It's more this fluid kind of thing. And I think the main problem is thinking that we need to be somewhere else, that we need to be in this other place, that we should be in this other place. Like, I used to always think like, oh, I should be in this position, like I should be playing semi-professional soccer or football, I should be having more music out, I should have more music out, I should be playing music live, I should have way more subscribers, I should have way more videos, you know, just all these kind of things, like, or what we should be. And it doesn't matter what should be, like that's just getting in the way, that's just distorting our view. It's okay to have these emotions and have these feelings of regret and loss and wanting to be somewhere else, but you don't deal with that by trying to reach that point. You deal with that in the moment by feeling it and just doing whatever you can and accepting that in this moment, this is where you're at, this is where your skill level's at, and then being like, all right, what can I do? What can I improve? Because that mindset's going to get you a lot further, and it's going to be a lot more sustainable to continue over the long term. And I'm gonna use some references to the Odyssey because I just watched it again for the second time in a normal cinema. I recommend that you watch it. It's like I've watched it twice in a week. I watched it in IMAX the first time and then this time at a normal cinema. The IMAX experience was amazing. Like that's 100% the future of movies, like watching cinema. Like it was huge, like the screen was huge and just the immersion of it was just amazing. But anyway, like I was saying, there's some references that I'm going to use for the Odyssey. Like for example, Odysseus is trying to defy the gods by keeping all of his men alive when, you know, that's not really in his control. Their nature is not in his control, but he's trying to take responsibility for them. He's trying to account for all of them. And sure, you can help some people to some degree, but they are who they are at the end of the day, and it's up to them to decide. It's up to you to decide. And you know, you can try fighting against that, but there's some sense of nature that's going to be inevitable that you just got to let go of. And that's what happens when he finally remembers, because you know, he was holding on to what he wanted so much that when it finally broke and all of his men died, he literally allowed himself to forget everything about the woman that he loved and his son that he loved, the land that he loved, that he was the king of. And he forgot that for 8 years. He allowed himself to forget that. Well, that's debatable whether he allowed himself, but that's what I'm going to insinuate here, because for him to get back, he had to let go of all of that and just let go and then come back. And, you know, the ending is basically all about him just doing what feels right rather than what people expect of him, because he learnt from the war, he had to experience from that war the effects of it and the tragedy of it all. And another quote, he kind of remembered his family while he was remembering, and he said, "I don't know that I have a family, I feel." And I think that's such an important statement to have, because we have this abundance of knowledge. Like, if you're watching this video, if you've even got this far, then you know a lot of things. You're probably someone who has a fair bit of information and you know quite a bit. But there's a massive difference between knowing stuff and actually doing it. And that's the bridge that I've been trying to gap, because it's not just forcing yourself to do the things that you know are good for you. It's working with your nature and using that flow to progress rather than trying to force it. It's like this middle ground between the robot and the animal, because we are somewhere in between, you know, like Nietzsche's Übermensch, which is, you know, there's like this line on one end where we are animals, and the other line we're like robotic perfectionists, and where we lie is somewhere in the middle. So I think that's really important to put in, because there's a massive emphasis that we are feeling people. We're not just, oh, science says I should do this, so I'm going to do that. It's never as simple as that. But I do think it's important to definitely keep holding those high standards, but not having them be the end all, because, you know, you can't change the moment, you can't change the present. All you've got to do is the things that you can do now. And with that, you know, like you might have seen, I have shirts, and most of them are quite big. They're bigger size, and this jacket is an extra size, and that's because I have the mentality of growing into these things, because I know that inevitably I am going to build muscle to be able to fill this out. It's not that, oh, I want what fits now, I want what works now, and I don't want to change anything. You know, that's too far on the side of ease and comfort, and that's something that I've had to navigate and find the balance for myself, something that feels right for me. And this is kind of my way of looking at it and being like, oh, like, I've got to work out, so then in a year or two, like, this actually looks like it fits me. So then I'm growing into it, because I know that that's a possibility and it's inevitable, but it just got to think more long term, because to be honest, I can be quite impatient, and, you know, this sense of control in the moment, like, oh, like, I'm doing all these things at the moment and all of it's fitting in right now, and I've created this perfect routine that's going to get me there in a couple months. It always falls apart. So you've got to think more long term, more sustainable, what works for you, working with the emotions and feelings. I feel like I'm repeating myself now, so I think that's a good time to stop. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.